Nah, halo guys, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang di Arrie Vlog. Nah, kali ini ya guys ya, begitu sedih kita ya dan pilu atas yang dilakukan pejabat-pejabat tinggi seperti DPR yang mengakibatkan kemarahan bagi warga dan seluruh rakyat ya, dan kita semua juga atas tindakan mereka yang begitu terasa menyakitkan hati kita ya, sehingga aksi demo terjadi mulai dari tanggal 28 Agustus 2025 sampai malam tadi. Mereka aksi demo ya, sampai berkunjung ke rumah-rumah anggota DPR yang terlibat joget-joget di layar ya, sehingga memicu kemarahan dan emosi yang begitu tinggi, yang begitu geram bagi rakyat-rakyat Indonesia. Sehingga ketika kita aksi demo tersebut yang mengguncang dunia guys, sehingga Indonesia menjadi sorotan dunia, sampai-sampai jurnalis dari daerah luar dan negara luar langsung datang ke lokasi kejadian, yaitu di Jakarta guys, dan juga di depan-depan DPR, sehingga di saat kondisi sedang aksi demo sampai mengundang pandangan dari negara luar. Contohnya ini salah satunya adalah dari siaran TV Al Jazeera ya, yang mana reporter mereka langsung turun ke lapangan ke Indonesia dan melihat secara langsung aksi demo tersebut. Sehingga di berita-berita negara luar mereka semuanya membahas tentang aksi demo kemarin guys. Yuk kita tonton videonya dan cuplikan bagaimana reaction dari mereka dari negara luar ya. Dan pastikan kalian sudah mengklik tombol subscribe ya sebagai dukungan video ini. Like videonya dan share ke yang lainnya guys. Yuk kita lihat aksi reaction dari negara luar sehingga menjadi sorotan dunia tentang Indonesia guys.
So we begin with breaking news out of Indonesia. Anti-government protests have turned violent in the capital, Jakarta, and other major cities for a second night. Police fired tear gas and deployed water cannon to disperse crowds. Hundreds are protesting against a number of cost of living related issues, including the lack of jobs and low wages. But the death of a motorcycle taxi driver who was run over by a police vehicle on Thursday has worsened that anger. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has apologized for the excessive use of force by police and is calling for calm. Well, let's speak to Al Jazeera's producer, Siriana Hasibuan, who joins us on the phone from Jakarta. Siriana, it's gone past 8 p.m. local time in Jakarta. Tell us about what's happening now on the streets.
Well, people have been demonstrating in Jakarta the whole day today and also in many other cities in Indonesia. Well, the crowd of angry mobs started together earlier in the day outside police quarters, throwing rocks and shoot fireworks into the headquarters. And then the police fired tear gas at them. The crowd then started to burn things around the area. It is now raining heavily in Jakarta right now. And then hopefully the situation is calming down a bit. But people are still gathering, so who knows what will happen later on tonight.
Yeah, we are seeing those live pictures from Jakarta. And as you say, it's raining, but people are still out on the streets. Remind us, Siriana, how these demonstrations started.
It started earlier this week when students demonstrating against salary package received by member of parliament, which is more than 10 times of minimum wage in Indonesia. People are angry. They feel that the government and the parliament do not care about their situation. Their living cost is very high right now. Jobs hard to find. And then they feel like the rich keep getting richer, but then there's no improvement in their daily life. And then the the demonstration getting bigger, then clash happened between the protesters and the police. And then after that, later that night, the motorbike driver got killed by police car. And then the situation even more heated after that.
Okay, Siarina, thank you so much for the update. That's Al Jazeera's producer, Siarina Hasibuan, on the line there from Jakarta with the latest on those demonstrations. These are the latest pictures we're getting from the Indonesian capital. Police and protesters on the streets clashing for a second night over the death of a motorcycle driver. But that wasn't the initial anger that the issue that angered protesters, as we've heard from our correspondent. Let's discuss this further now with Wirya Dewina, who's the Deputy Director of Amnesty International Indonesia, joining us from Jakarta. Thank you so much for being with us. As our producer noted there, the capital of Indonesia has seen a series of demonstrations this week with the protests stemming from a number of issues. What are Indonesians most angry about right now?
Well, I think the death of the motorcyclist last night, was something that really triggers a lot of emotional outbursts, because this is the final straw that breaks the camel back. Although these demonstrations has been running quite heatedly in the past couple of days, what we need to understand, this is not even the first demonstration, big large-scale demonstration that's happening this year, or not even the demonstrations or protests that have faced excessive and unnecessary use of force by police forces. There was another demonstrations in August, another one in May, just this year alone. And last year there was a massive demonstrations nearing the end of the year. And all of those demonstrations face excessive and unnecessary use of force by the police forces. Tear gas was used improperly, water cannons, beatings. So I think when people are seeing with their own eyes a motorcyclist being trampled by a police vehicle, that is just the trigger.
Right. As you say, this is not the first demonstration, but the pictures that we're seeing are quite spectacular, of fires burning in Jakarta. How do these protests fit into Indonesia's longer history of public mobilization over inequality and governance issues? What feels different this time?
Well, what the government needs to understand is that they have been continued to gaslit people's opinion in the past several years. It is only makes sense that the people are trying to shout their voice more loudly. What we are looking in the past several weeks is a blatant show of the parliament, the government, dancing around as the people are struggling. Economics are difficult in Indonesia at the moment. Jobs are difficult for Indonesians at the moment. And we know that in Indonesia, one of the biggest pain points for a lot of Indonesians are those jobs, livelihoods. So what's happening now is something that should have been expected if only the government would listen, if only the parliament would listen to the people.
Right. The unrest is no doubt a key test for President Prabowo Subianto. He's already apologized for the excessive use of force that led to the motorcycle driver's death. But what else does he need to do now to quell this anger? What does he need to do for Indonesians to accept, to trust once again their government?
Well, for starter, what you said as the president's apology was actually a non-apology. The president indeed conveyed his condolences. He did express his regret, but he did not apologize to the people. He did not apologize for the excessive use of force. And he did not provide clear action points of what the government will do to solve this big issue. And this is such a big issue that Amnesty International have been documenting multiple excessive use of police force throughout the years, from 2020 to 2022, 20 to 2024, 2025, years after years after years, when people are protesting peacefully, police will come with batons, with tear gas, with water cannons. And this requires a clear, concrete actions that reform the police body structurally. Apologies alone, not enough. Regrets alone is not enough. Accountability should go all the way to the top. And that is where the president should have started.
Indonesia, when you look at Indonesia from the outside, it's often seen as a moral democracy in Southeast Asia. Do you think these protests and the state's or government's response challenge that perception today? And how might this unrest actually affect Indonesia's reputation internationally and in the region, especially as it positions itself as a regional leader in ASEAN?
Well, the government should definitely be worried about what they have been failing to do to uphold that image of democracy. They have been curbing freedom of press. They have been attacking journalists. They have been curbing freedom of expression and freedom of speech. They have been criminalizing criticisms, dissents, online and offline. So I think the government should be very worried about their images abroad in terms of democracy and human rights. But one thing that I am very appreciative of Indonesians, even in these times when the governments are attacking its own people, we are looking at people still continuing to express their criticisms in the street, online. People are still organizing. People are still trying to make things better for their fellow Indonesians. So I think one thing is like what Charles Dickens said, it is the best of time, this is the worst of time. The government has been performing very terribly, but the people are there. The people are there protesting peacefully. The people are there expressing their criticisms. And like we always did, I think Indonesians will still stay true to the traditions of democracy.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us about the situation in Indonesia today. Wiria Adewina is the Director of Amnesty International Indonesia, and will keep a close eye on the situation in Indonesia for you here on Al Jazeera throughout the day and evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.
Nah, seperti itu ya hasil dari reaction mereka ya, melihat kondisi di Indonesia ini sehingga mengguncang dunia, dan mata-mata dunia juga prihatin dengan kondisi kita saat ini di Indonesia, sehingga menjadi publik dan berita di negara mereka ya. Oke ya guys ya, sampai di sini saja video kita hari ini ya. Semoga Indonesia kedepannya bisa berubah menjadi lebih baik lagi, dan juga bisa rakyat mendapatkan keadilan. Oke, terima kasih semuanya, dukung rakyat, semoga mendapatkan keadilan, dan sehingga Indonesia akan membenah diri menjadi negara yang lebih baik lagi. Oke, terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.